Reptilians and crypto crackheads coming at you with the second video today, Monday, March 29th, 2021. Not sure why I have my headphones on, and you're about to get Timified. Hey, new viewers, I'm going to address you really quickly. There is no other YouTube channel like this one. Here's what you're about ready to see. I'm not going to do any coin reviews. I'm not going to say, hey, this is going up forever. I'm not going to say Cardano to $25. I'm not saying Chainlink to 1,000. None of that's going to be said here. I'm not going to talk about CEO interviews. I'm not going to educate you about what a coin does and how exciting it is, as everybody on the internet is also talking about the same coin as the price goes 3,000%. That's not what's going to happen here. Instead of that, I am going to show you how to enter your trades confidently. So when you click buy, I'm going to show you how to do it confidently and how to maximize your gains in crypto, because this party will end around December or January upcoming. The bull market doesn't last very long. Look at my market cycles video. I explain it all there. It's in the library section of my description, and I'm going to try to help you be more confident in this market, how to enter trades in ways that you rarely take losses, rarely compared to what you're probably doing currently, how to take profits, and how to maximize your gains in this short-lived bull market. So, you ready? All right. Reptilians, crypto crackheads, are you ready? All right, rock and roll. So, here we go, folks. My last video, I pretty much exclusively covered Bitcoin, and I was in a hurry to jump on a phone call. Before I jump on altcoins, which this video will be focusing on altcoins because new viewers, small cap altcoins are the most no-brainer way to grow wealth in crypto. Unless you're comfortable using 100x leverage or something, or maybe 50x leverage would probably do it. But that's the fastest way to lose all your money. So in terms of not using leveraged, small cap alts are the by far the easiest way and less risky way to grow your wealth in a bull market, because you can, I mean, many coins are going to do 100x. I mean, $100 turns into $10,000 for real. Does it happen in 1 month? No. But you can 5x your money with small cap alts in a day. And I've actually, a lot of my viewers have done it with me within 24 hours on a few occasions. A lot of the runs are about 3.5 times. But anyway, so here we go. One thing I forgot to mention here. So a lot of people are asking two questions. Should I sell everything now if Bitcoin really is going to approach this? If Bitcoin is going to make a slow descent, down to this line here, should I sell everything now? I'm not. I can't tell you what to do. So the altcoins that will fall the hardest are likely ones, for example, one that we follow, Veracity. I'm not saying Veracity looks like it is going up even more, but I don't think it's going to continue this course, but that looks really strong. But coins that have gone on ridiculous runs and are due for a correction anyway, they will likely correct fast and furiously when, assuming that Bitcoin does start its more obvious descent. The coins that are due for, I mean, look at this, that's almost 1,000% run, right? So if it happens to correct when Bitcoin also corrects, it will correct fast and furious, as opposed to, so I'm answering that specific question, right? As opposed to something like Pro, which has clearly not only found a good support, as we're seeing here, see this yellow line, it's our support line. It has not only found support, but it looks like it has been proving it. It's tested it and retested it, and it's forming a pretty good base of price action off of which to establish, confidence that, hey, this is our new baseline. So I do not anticipate something like BPRO to do much more than maybe a quick scare down to this blue line and come right back up to where it is. That might be about as scary as something in this situation. It might scare people down to the next support and then pop right back up. I think that would be among the most likely situations. Hell, anything's possible. I mean, something with a great support line, yeah, sure, it could absolutely fall 60% too. I'm not saying it's impossible, but house odds, not being a gambler or just knowing what you should get in and out of, something that looks like BPRO right now, it looks very safe for when Bitcoin corrects, and expectations of a reasonable worst case scenario or a moderately worse, worst case scenario is all the way down, right? But a reasonable worst case scenario, which might have like a 3% or maybe even 10% possibility chance of playing out, is something like that. A quick scare down of this blue line and come right back up. That would be something like BPRO. Another one that has it's formed a decent base is MTV. All right, MTV has screamed up. So it had a breakout, essentially a failed breakout. Oh, look, this is the line I drew way back here on March 16th, and I guessed the day that it would break out and hit this line. I guessed the day exactly. That was a pretty good guess. But most coins and alts move about the same. But anyway, so something like this, it just had a failed breakout past this area, came up, tested the next line, and crashed back down. But that's not actually bad, because it was forming a base down here, but now it's forming a base way up here. So it's just climbing the stairs. It's just climbing the stairs. Let me remove some of my my indicators for you. Okay. Yeah, so something like MTV, I mean, this base is not quite as strong. So similar to how I said with BPRO, it's forming a base. The likelihood of something like MTV without much proof, there's not much proof in the pudding that this is going to hold. The likelihood of it coming back to reform a base here and then maybe pop up and then pop up, do this again, I mean, that could be as high as 25, 30%. I think it is more likely that it'll keep its base up here even if Bitcoin falls. So hopefully I'm answering your question. There are lots of in-betweens. Veracity is one example of a coin that is on the extreme end of overdue for a correction. However, it looks like it's about ready to keep. I wouldn't buy in right now, obviously. It looks like a good time to be taking profits in Veracity, to be honest. Let me double check that. Let me see if I actually agree with what I just guessed. Don't take action on what I just said. And honestly, if you ever take action on what I'm saying, you need to add your own analysis. Well, I don't know. The smaller time frames look pretty freaking bullish. That does not look bullish. That looks like it needs to come down and test this line. So it's creating a lot of divergence here, which means it might poke out a higher high here and there. And doing it right now, but look, so this is some pretty nasty divergence of Veracity holders. So see this, this is, if I held Veracity and I'm far in the green, so like I bought at this yellow line or lower. So if I bought somewhere here or lower, which a lot of you bought it a lot lower, what I personally would do in this situation, I would guess heavily that this is a nasty divergence. Divergence meaning price doing one thing, RSI or another indicator doing another thing. Price is making a higher high, at least on the candle body of the day. Even though this is the high, it's not making a higher high, but the candle body's higher. It's printing a higher price. Okay, and this looks like that's Veracity is strong. Jeez. However, this is why we use indicators, so you can make more sense of this. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's this is not bullish down here. But price does look pretty bullish. But so it's making a higher high, but it's making a much lower high here. Those are typically no-brainer times to take profits. And I typically recommend 20 bags to people, but since this has gone on 1,000% run, this would be my play on Veracity with one base. So listen to this with this one condition. If what I'm about to say, the condition doesn't actually pertain to you, then don't listen. Just wait till I flip the page to the next coin, right? Under the condition that I bought around here, somewhere like this, or lower, somewhere there or lower, that's the condition. If that's not true to you, then plug your ears for a minute. With that condition, I would probably 100 bag this. I personally would. I typically am very conservative with my bagging, like 20 and 30. Yeah, sometimes I do 50 bags. 50 bag is a more aggressive profit-taking move with the idea that I can now use that money in Tether to buy down here 1.5 times as much when it does a 50% correction, or roughly that. But as we all know, when you do buy a 50% correction, you know, in that moment, the Tether is worth the same amount. Let's say you sold, you know, and for my viewers who have heard this before, it's just important here again. I'll make it quick. So imagine you sold all, like, 50% of your veracity here, right? That is 1,000 Tether. So $1,000 in Tether. You buy it after a 50% correction. You now have, from the original 50% of veracity, you have 1.5 times your amount of veracity from that 50 bag, right? So that 50 bag is now much more than 50% of your overall veracity. But when you buy it in that moment, it's still worth $1,000. Here's the power, though. So now you have more veracity, right? It gets better. Here's why taking profits is so good. It's worth the risk of it keep going up. Like this, so new viewers, what I'm about to say, this is why you don't buy and pray. Actually, it's just one of the reasons, but it's like the most no-brainer. So not only do you have 1.5 times the veracity now with that half, right? Not overall, but your 50 bag is now like your 68 bag or whatever it would be. Not only do you have more veracity now, significantly, but as cryptillians and crypto crackheads know, whenever you do, let's just say whenever you do a 50% correction and you buy that dip, right? When it goes back up, it's then 100%. You double your money. So you're not only 1.5 times in your veracity, but then you double your money too. Do you see the power in this? This is why you take profits. This should be screaming, take profits. Let's say you're wrong and it comes up here, moseys, and breaks out. Okay, buy back the breakout. Who cares? You didn't lose out on much money. But when it's print and divergence like this over time, you're going to be way better off taking big profits here and trying to buy back lower. Because imagine you do this, you'd make 10 guesses like this, right? With veracity. Oh, should I buy now or is it going to go higher? Okay, imagine 10 times you have that thought process until December or January when everything freaking crashes. Then you won't be having that moment anymore at all for probably 3.5 years. But anyway, imagine you have 10 times that this moment happens. Crap, like should I write it higher or should I take profits? 10 times. 9 of those times, you 100 bag it. You sell everything, you market sell. And then you see it wiggle up to its high and bust through. You can put limit, I believe you can put limit buy order. No, you can't put limit buy orders. You can simply buy the breakout and you're barely missing any price action. You're barely missing any action. Sure, you're buying back at a slightly higher price, but it's slightly, right? Okay? Just a little bit. Imagine you do that. That happens to you 8 of those 10 times. It busts out, you buy it back about here, and you miss out on this price action sandwiched in the middle, which I will turn blue. So you miss out on that blue area, right? Imagine doing that 8 of the 10 times. But just 2 times, you were correct, and you catch a 50% correction. And by buying it there, you now have way more of your bag, and then the US dollar value doubles. Those 2 times way outweigh those 8 times that you were wrong. Right? Because you milk your gains and you manage your losses. Milk versus manage. That's what this is. This is way worth the risk to be taken, like, you know, if you want to be slightly more conservative, 80 bag. This is long overdue. So I would do more than, I personally would do way more than a 50 bag here. Way more than a 20 bag. I personally would take all my profits. And with the condition, remember, that I bought it somewhere down here or lower. And I think I just explained why that's a no-brainer. And in addition to that, this is some pretty severe divergence. Let's see, and like, you know, not only is price overdue for a correction, but this always comes down to test its moving average. See this white line, the moving average? Let's blow this up. This is called RSI, new viewers. Right? That's this white line's its moving average. This RSI has to come down to check it. Not only check it, but it, at some point will cross below it. So that moment looks like it's about ready to happen. So there is no divergence on the weekly, but if you know that it is 100% of time, RSI on any time frame will always come back down and test its moving average. If you know that it's always, right? And then the daily is giving you, why can't I delete this, folks? Whatever. I'm still learning how to use TradingView, and I don't want to erase all my drawing tools because then my other indicators go away. I'll give it one more shot, and y'all can make. Yeah, okay, so I wasn't on the select tool. Man. Anyway, so and thank you for all the TradingView tips. Like, look over here. Now I can just flip through. Thank you. Somebody gave me some advice on, oh gosh, like the tab or watch list, something where, like, I didn't understand it. I'm sorry. You mentioned something similar to this, but I think it was with like it was something like my what, the object tree, but it wasn't that. I couldn't figure out what you're saying to me. So don't you know, like I said in one of my videos, you know, if you see me do something stupid, you could say, if you're a new viewer, hey, stupid content creator. And you know, you can call me stupid. I'll call you stupid too, right? Like I said in one of my earlier videos, just keep it PG-13 and we'll call each other stupid or some PG-13 name. But you can give me tips like, hey, stupid, you know, you can do this. So I'm totally game for that. I don't have some ego that needs to be stroked. I would actually prefer to be wrong because that means I will now be right more because I understand why I was wrong. The fewer times in life that you correct your incorrect opinions is the more times you will be wrong. And what does that mean? Those are the people who like to be right all the time. The more you like to be right is the more you'll actually be wrong. Because you're not freaking listening the times you are wrong. And if you did listen the times you're wrong, that means you now be right more because you fixed those errors. Right? So anyway, so that's my mentality. So if I'm doing something stupid, just let me know because I actually prefer to learn that. Right? You're not going to make me feel bad. I know most people have some ego that needs to be stroked. I sure as heck don't. At least I perceive myself. I mean, other people might perceive me differently, but I think I do, but I hope I do. So that's what I'm seeing. So that would be a play on one end of the spectrum of should I sell everything now? If I held veracity under the condition I bought here, I would. Because it's mathematically, like, just not only this one instance probable, but over time, it's just, you grow wealth so much more quickly. However, before I did that, if I didn't believe what Tim is saying, Cosas Verdes is saying, if you wanted to say, well, I don't believe him, but I will look out for this one thing. And if I see this happen, then I'll take his advice, you know. And I'm not asking you to do anything. Like what I say I would do, I'm not telling you to take any action, right? But if I were in that boat, I was like, no, I believe in veracity. Which I'm a chest pounder for Viacoin and Deep Onion, so you know we all have that coin, right? I get it. Just better not be doing it for Cardano or Omi or Harmony. Actually, Harmony is pretty damn legit. I don't think that's a true hype coin, even though it's getting a lot of hype. It's too hot, so don't. Yeah, I sure as hell wouldn't be entering Harmony right now, but I think that actually is pretty legit, kind of like Phantom. Those are legit, but they've gotten too hot too fast. But anyway, so if I didn't believe Tim, but I wanted to warn myself, hey, what if he is right, right? Because you're over here pounding your chest about veracity, and I know the feeling. I do the same damn thing with Viacoin and Deep Onion. I freaking get it. And 4 years running, I still haven't been able to break it for those two coins, right? So there are some coins where it's just, I don't know. It's like being like part of a team or something. I don't know what it is, but I get it. Okay, I'm saying I get it. Unless it's Cardano or Omi. But okay, so but anyway, sorry to repeat myself, but it's really important to understand that I really do understand what you're going through. What I would look for in that situation, if I didn't believe me, but maybe I believe him, I would probably break Tim's rule of not looking at the 1 hour. Okay, just this one time. Just this one time. No other time. I would, because the reason I'd say this is because you're going to have to move quickly if you don't believe me immediately. And it might not happen. It could go up, but everything's working against it. So anyway, I mean, it's right at pretty key resistance. It doesn't have the umph. Like the daily RSI is stuck, but something else could happen. I mean, people are freaking crazy, and this is a map of human emotion. So if human emotions change, then what we see will change too. It's completely possible. It's just not likely. But anyway, so I would look at the 1 hour as a clue, not as what I take action on. It'll give me my first puzzle piece on, okay, the odds are going a little bit in favor of what Tim was saying, right? So this would be the first clue, not I take action. So let's say this white line, the moving average of the RSI, starts getting a not so positive slope, and the RSI busts under it and stays under it. Okay, you would want to see it rejected at least once, right? So when it gets to about here, it's still not rejected. This still wouldn't be your clue. This still wouldn't be your clue. That's where it tests it. It would be this area where it ticks down, okay? So this area here, that's the tick down after rejection here. That would be my first clue. And that would be step one. Step two is go to the 2 hour time frame. What is it doing? Because these cascade into each other. I would try to look to see if it too gets stuck under. Now, if the 1 hour is just doing it, this has yet to do it, right? Because it's a slower time frame. So, but I would start forgetting about the 1 hour and start focusing on the 2 hour as my second clue. Okay? And you can just check like once every, and now if you have a lot of veracity, like tens of thousands of dollars, you might want to take a look at this maybe once an hour. Because it could happen fast. Anyway, so that'd be the second clue. I still would not take action necessarily. On the 2 hour, you might be kind of safe. On the I would, but if you decide to take action with the 2 hour, I would wait till the second rejection. So I'm still good. I'm still good. I'm still good. I'm still good. Sell. That would be roughly my play. However, I would want to go to the 4 hour and try to see what I would want to see is that the RSI is under, not its moving average, but I would want to see it under this green line. Okay, see this horizontal green line? And then, because if all of those things happen, what does that mean? It means now they agree with the daily. And when those are in harmony, that's when price starts really moving. It could start moving up if they were in harmony the other way. But in this case, it would start moving down. like really fast, if those happen to become in unison. Okay? So I like a lot of my plays on trying to sell tops. You can't sell tops. You know, I've said this in almost all my videos. You can't do it. So don't think you can. You're an idiot. If you think you can do it like more than 2%, maybe 5% of the time. But anyway, this is, so looking at the harmony of, well, maybe I shouldn't say harmony because that's one of the hype coins right now ish, the YouTube hype. Everybody's talking about it. So dangerous, people. You have YouTubers saying how awesome harmony is after it went on a 3,000% run, and retail investors don't really know what that means and they're buying it. Oh, if you could bring more noobs to my channel to save their souls, those are the people who are going to get wrecked. And I feel so bad that YouTubers are out there just facilitating it. Oh, but that's why I'm here. I'm fighting the good fight. I'm trying to freaking help y'all. Trying to help you. But anyway, so playing at tops, that's how I do it. I look for the unison of RSIs, the unison of the smaller time frames matching up with typically the daily. But when all those align with the weekly too, like with Bitcoin, like I explained in my last video, that's even more powerful. So actually Bitcoin, the daily and the weekly are in unison, but it's the small time frames that aren't in unison, right? So one more comparison, and then I got to fly through I will fly through the, I'm not using my list. I'm so used to doing that. So look, so let's not look at price. Let's look down here. So this is the RSI, right, for Bitcoin. So one strike, well, that didn't work. One strike, two strikes, three strikes. Okay, monster like this. This is the daily time frame. This is nasty divergence, people. I don't think this level of divergence has ever happened on Bitcoin. Does that mean it's going to crash? No. It just means it's still having little pushes up. But it's like a car running on fumes. It's that last before it's out. That's what this is. It doesn't, guys, it doesn't have I mean, but it did check, RSI did hit the white line. And there always has to be a point where you do launch off the white line, but it's typically not a little touch like that. That's not how it works. So that's the daily RSI. The weekly RSI is very clearly trapped and rejected off of its moving average. And it's getting ready to get rejected the second time. The chance of it busting through here is so low, folks. It needs to fill up on gas. It's called relative strength. When you're at the gym and you run out of energy, you can't keep bench pressing. Your relative strength is gone. That's why you can only do 10 of one set. Because the 11th, you have no more relative strength. Your strength compared to when you started is so low. I just don't see how this could have the relative strength after already getting rejected. So see back here, folks, when it busted through and kept going higher, it wasn't getting rejected. It just freaking busted right through. See all this? And the only time that it did get rejected, what happened? Right? So the daily and the weekly are in unison. The 4 hour and the 2 hour are not. But does the parent typically win the arguments with the kids? Yes. House odds. Daily and, daily is the dad. Weekly is the mom, who's the boss of the house, right? So weekly is the mom, which is an M upside down, I guess. And if that happens to be some offensive gang sign, I'm sorry. Like the W, W and M, whatever. Hopefully I don't have people like that taking offense over everything like that. Hopefully they're not on my channel. But anyway, yeah, so the 2 hour and the 4 hour on Bitcoin are not agreeing. And those are like the children. However, is it guaranteed that the children lose the argument? No. I remember lots of times I won the argument as a kid, right? It could happen. All right, so let's start flying through these other. So I know a lot of you hold veracity. I wanted to focus on that one because if you hold a lot of it, because it's gone up really high. I mean, if you bought like $300 just a month and a half ago, you now have a lot of money. And that lot of money can have a lot of losses really fast. And most new people don't freaking know how to take profits. That's all I'm saying. This is not financial advice. You can do what you want. I simply am giving you the tools on how to think about it and how to think about it, even if you're stuck in a chest-pounding moment, keeping the thought of Tim might be right, but I don't believe him. I gave you those tools as well to like have your own check and balance, right? Because doing well in crypto, growing your wealth, particular to trading and watching price. Do you all remember what I keep saying is the hardest thing? Besides getting through my long videos, which, by the way, watch these on 1.5 or 1.75 or 2 times speed. Anyway, it's your emotions. You have to create a system, a best processes to like control yourself. It's hard. You have to trick your own self. You have to trick yourself. Okay? All right. Anyway, let's start with 𝑏Pro, but I got to make these really fast because I think my wife is hungry and that's a dangerous situation for me to be in. So, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, folks. And the good thing about 𝑏Pro right now is it looks like it has a pretty solid base. If it does fall through, I mean, it could test down to this white line. It could. However, it'll probably stop here because that's an origin line. Origin line video link in my description section. So that's very important to know. That could be among the most important things to know. If you're new to crypto, the most important is the market crashes video. So if you're new, like seriously, like stop listening to me now and go watch the market crash video and come back to this later. Seriously. It is literally the most important thing you can hear if you're new. Anyway, so yeah, I think this looks really strong. However, here's the one thing, folks. Okay, so if we have some chest pounding going on here with 𝑏Pro, which I mean, honestly, I am pretty freaking bullish about 𝑏Pro. Even though I didn't like how the, when he was on an interview on another channel, which that channel creator did a great job. I think I said it wrong in my last one. I said I don't like how that interview went. I didn't like how the interview went from the CEO's perspective. I didn't like how he presented the information. So I think both content creators and gosh, what's his name? Crypto Rodeo just had him. He did a fantastic job interviewing him. Go check out. I think it's Crypto Rodeo. He just interviewed the CEO. He did a really good job. That was a great interview. And the CEO, now that he's doing more interviews, he was better at it. And I think he did a great job. I think both the parties did a great job. Because the CEO, I mean, he's a computer nerd guy. He's not used to being a public figure. But he did a very good job, and it was very informative. But anyway, outside of that, you shouldn't be bullish on a coin or any project or any asset because of the CEO, right? But it was a good interview, and it was good. So you should check out his channel. It was good, very good actually. So, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, even though I'm really bullish on 𝑏Pro, and I'm done 20 bag in the rest of the year, I'm just staking. And no, I won't unstake so you can stake. Hell no. What I think, guys, remember in all my videos, I think it's going to start getting rejected from this dark green line. I think that's what's going to happen. All this is out of play. Okay? Like, the chance of that being accurate is probably over 80%. Like, it's very high. Very, 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 very high. And remember in my video, how many days ago? Maybe a week, 5 days? What did I say will probably happen the entire month of April? Or the next 30 days, however I said it? Sideways. And I said it probably will hit this line, or it'll probably hit this line before it goes up. And what happens is two things. The reason why I'm so certain of this is two. it allows this line to go higher because price will be rejected from it. So if it pops now, that's not going to be a good pop, right? So why? Why pop? Establish a better base so you can pop, right? And as you establish a better base, as price comes up here for the next 25, how long is this? Yeah, about 30 days, 25 days. Then when you pop, you can fly up to 8 cents or actually scream a little past it, wick through 9.3 cents. So just like I was friggin' totally correct about, and it wasn't just me being correct, I just know how to make trend lines, people. It's just trend line. Okay, but new folks, I know it looks like magic to you, but it's not. Like, this is pretty basic, and I'm trying to help you understand it. Yeah, I mean, it's just trend line. So the next play is when you see price pierce above this, and it typically doesn't hit it perfectly, you know? As long as the amount of people who know about this is like under 20%, because most newbies who are buying stuff, they're buying it once it's break. So they'll buy it when, so let's say BPros does this, and it starts climbing. Noobs start seeing it on CoinMarketCap gainers list, and they're buying it here as you're planning on taking profits here. And those noobs, who I'd love to save, by the way, push it through. And then after they push it through, the people who only 30 bagged or 20 bagged see this, then they just market sell the rest because they know they can buy it back down here. Under the principles I said earlier, not only do you accumulate more BPro, but you'll double your money catching the next bounce up just with a 50% move. That's how this happens. That wick through. That's the market psychology. That is one of the many ways reasons why it happens. That's group psychology, people. So that's BPro. There's probably something happening on the BPro Bitcoin chart, but since they're both over all-time highs, I think it's good. MTV looks like it's going to form a base, folks. The likelihood of it coming back down here, filling this out a little more, then moving back up to keep forming the base on this level, I think it's under 40% that happens, but it's much greater percentage than BPros. Okay. But if I had to guess, a best guess, I think it's gonna build a base off this line. I think it's more probable that it skyrockets than it does come back down here again. Not by much, but I think it's slightly more probable. So yeah, if y'all want to get cute in your comments, I guess you can technically call me a chest pounder too. Call me a mouth-breathing chest pounder about Viacoin. Let's get off the 4 hour. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this, it got a little hot and it hit some clear resistance here. And I think this might be an origin line. No, it's not an origin line. This is resistance. Oh, this resistance was created from the last bull run. So look, this is going to be pretty heavy, folks. So Viacoin will not hang out this long again here. All right. Rather, it's probably going to hang out for something like this amount of time, days. And it might do something like this. Once it passes its all-time high here, it's probably going to pass this origin line, this diagonal origin line. It's probably going to come down and then go sideways for a long time, maybe like 2 months. And then it's going to have its hoorah, like most alts do. I think something like this formation is going to happen. So I think we're only going to stutter step here, like scream up, maybe stutter. We probably won't even stutter step to the all-time high. It's going to scream past this resistance of the origin line, come back down and settle on it, sideways for a couple months, hoorah starting in late October, mid-November, and then it's really fast, folks. The last hoorah is up to 8 weeks long. Sometimes it's only 3. It just depends on the coin. But it can do 100x like that fast. Now, will Viacoin do 100x from this point? No. I think the highest it can really go is maybe 140. But I wouldn't bet on 140. I think that's improbable. I think it's more probable hitting somewhere. I don't know. I'll probably start selling or in the high 50s, and then if I see it happen to get like over 110, I'm dumping everything immediately. Because my ROI is so high already. I mean, Like, I would easily be able to buy a Lamborghini at that point, or several. I think yeah, at least more. Well, definitely one at that point. So if not more, like probably more. But anyway, yeah, if it gets past $100, I'm going to be sitting pretty well just on this one holding, because it's my chest pounding coin, and I was accumulating down. This is the power of staying in the bull market or the bear market when it's boring. Most of you won't be here on January of 2023, but this is why it's so awesome, because you're buying down here while it's boring. Now you don't have to worry about price. You don't have to worry about freaking growing your wealth. You just sit back and watch it happen. That's the awesomeness of getting through the boring of 2.5 years. It's worth it. I'm just sitting back watching my buy and go. But I waited a hell of a long time. I started buying after I saw this dip. And then I was able to actually make this a master trend line or an origin line. And then I just started accumulating about right here. Actually, I waited till it made a higher low. So and then it started going up. I started going right here. So I was accumulating between 18 and 25 cents. And I think I was buying it at 18 and 20 cents here too, but that was riskier. But then I started I probably accumulated, yeah, actually I did accumulate a lot here. But I was confident in accumulating here. Anyway, so that's VIA. I think VIA is just going to cool its tits for a little bit. I don't think it's going to crash back down. Whoever was talking about pump and dump groups, this doesn't imprint. The printing of this is this was not from a pump group. This was due to happen. I've been talking about it for a while. How could how could that be from a pump group if I pretty much knew that was going to happen? I've been talking about it and suggesting that you all, I think I've been suggesting it to you since it was like 78 cents. I've been talking about it for a while, trying to give you a heads up. Silo. Yeah, this is a weird formation. I don't know what I think of this, folks. Oh, because I'm on the 30-minute time frame. That's why. That's why you don't look at small time frames. Did you see that? What just happened? It's awful. Don't look at those. You don't know jack shit. Okay. Yeah, this is a pretty typical play. So what's happening here with Silo? It just got too hot too fast. And I think this was breaking all-time highs, right? Yeah. So when you break an all-time high just by going straight up from the bottom, it's not going to be sustained. That's why I like what Bolt's doing so much, even though I wish it would hurry its ass up. This got too hot too fast. You can't keep above your all-time high doing that. This could hang out for 30 days. But does that sound boring? Yes. But when it goes up and breaks all-time high, don't you want it to have a chance to do something like Veracity did? Going 800% past its all-time high? Well, if you do, and you're not betting on some YouTuber with 500,000 subs talking about it, the way it's going to happen is if it fills out this range for quite a while. That's the only way it's going to happen. And to view it another way, filling out the range, what does it do? What is it actually doing? Something I forgot to say when I was talking about BPRO. So it allows that green line to go up too on BPRO, but it also allows your moving averages of the weekly 10. It allows it to catch up because then price will touch it and then price can go up. Price can't just keep screaming up without letting its weekly 10 catch up. It can't happen forever. Now, something like Veracity, can it happen for a while? Hell yeah. Well, obviously, it just did. But it cannot happen forever, and it never will happen forever. It's just a question of how aggressive is market psychology right now. And Veracity, that was an impressive run. If you bought Veracity while and you held it through that, congratulations to you. But if you don't believe me about the profit taking, you might want to start looking at the 1 hour time frame just this one time. And then if what I say is going to happen happens on the 1 hour, then look at the 2 hour and then wait for 2 rejections. If you see that and you still don't take profits, don't come crying to me later. TE food, tone. Not much happening here. It just had a cross. I mean, and then it's coming, so it had a breakout and it's coming back down to establish a base, and then it'll, so this kind of stuff. So coins that have a cross, when Bitcoin's going up, they keep going up. However, when they have a cross and they get hot fast and Bitcoin's correcting, the coin typically come back down and retest this one more time. And what that does is it waits for Bitcoin to go up and then it plays the cross harder. Like that's what happens. And this is going to be pretty common. I think ADB did the same thing. It had a blast off, and let's just go to ADB first. Like, see this big wick on the weekly? That means this wick looks really scary on something like the 2-hour time frame, right? It looks really scary, right? So look how scary this is. Oh, like that's probably a 60% drop. Like that's pretty big. 48, 49, 50. So, it looks scary, right? Even though it looks scary, this is forming a pretty good base. Yeah, I mean 4-hour typically you gotta get down to get up. If you happen to see ADB's 4-hour RSI hit this red line, and then it happens to agree with, yeah, like the chance of this. I think this is blackjack odds, whether this has more in it or if it's got to go sideways for a while. And honestly, I think it might be house odds that it does go sideways for a while, because Bitcoin's going to be going down, most likely. If Bitcoin does keep going down, it's probably gonna take this easy. RSI is probably going to get rejected under here. It'll probably level out here as the moving average of the RSI goes like this, and then when Bitcoin starts going back up, the RSI moving average will probably like start turning around, because the RSI will probably break through it and then start making another run. That's kind of on the RSI. That's kind of how Bitcoin affects small alts when they're trying to run, but then the market sentiment turns bearish and the market psychology changes. Like, ooh, should I get like all your questions on the last video? Should I get out of my trade? Should I get out? That's what's happening. So that's the market psychology that would make something like this happen. And then once those same people who become sellers from sideliners, so sideliner means no trade. Like you're either holding or you're holding tether, but you're not selling, you're not buying, right? Sideliners. So like this is what it looks like when sideliners see Bitcoin going back up. All the people asking me those questions, should I sell everything now? You're a sideliner. And honestly, no trade is sometimes the best trade. Sideline is a valid position, and I find myself in it. Actually, right now, I'm a sideliner. I'm actually across my portfolio, I'm a sideliner. I'm waiting on Litecoin to fall to 150 or lower so I can long the crap out of it and make a ton of money. So don't misconstrue what I just said. I did say 150 or lower. So I'm not just going to put on a huge long position. So I'm trying to protect you people who hear that and want to go do it, which trying to emulate what I'm saying is probably not a horrible idea a lot of times, because I've gotten a lot of feedback that people are doing that and making a lot of money. But like, I want to be very careful with that, because that could be misconstrued and that could wreck you. Because like if you put on a big long position with like say $1,000 or whatever is a decently sized number for you, like $5 grand, 10 grand, whatever's big for you or moderately big. If you put in 10x leverage or something like that and it dips down to 132, I mean, you could get liquidated. Maybe not with 10x leverage, but you would see your $1,000 go down to 500 or less before you got liquidated. And then you probably get scared out. You sell it and then it fires right back up, but then you lost out because you already sold. So anyway, this is in the RSI. That's what market sentiment looks like printed under the conditions I just said. And what that means in price is it just ranges and then it starts taking up. That's all that price. So that's why indicators are so important. It shows you another way to look at what's happening in the market, right? So I'm going to leave this here just to see how close it is, because I freaking nailed it with MTV. Let's see how well I nail it there. Bull hasn't changed. However, when it flies, I think it's going to fly, people. Mark my words. When it flies, I think it's going to fly hard. You know, Shaw took off without really forming a great base. So its confidence. So what happened in the market psychology here is that, okay, people were confident buying hard around here because it had already tested it. However, it didn't really have a base. And that's part of the reason why it didn't have the oomph to break out, folks. In building a base, what it means is it's not just for the point of building a base. It allows your indicators like your RSI, your moving averages, it allows them all to catch up. So you can jump off of a higher stair. Without it catching up, you're essentially trying to jump from the same low stair, but jump higher to the next stair from that lower stair. You want to jump from the next stair up in order to keep going up, right? So it lacked this. But the market psychology, how I see it, to get up to this point and break the threshold of a blue sky breakout is because it already tested it. And a lot of times, lines of resistance are broken on the second try. Okay, but it didn't allow its indicators to catch up, so it didn't go very high. And that's why I keep saying Bolt's gonna fly, or most likely will fly, because it's letting everything catch up real nicely. Honestly, I would actually prefer that Bolt either went sideways a little bit longer and then had a pretty decent dip down to like 1.0 or so 0.0105 to touch the 10, the weekly 10. So this line here, new viewers, you need to watch my chart video. That's the weekly 10. Like in a bull market, it could be by far the most important line. Maybe tied with the daily 21. So let's see what the daily 21, what that would look like there. So the daily 21 is a little higher. Yeah, I mean, I honestly think in a bull market in crypto, I think the weekly 10 is by far the best play. Both to try to figure out if coin's gaining strength or trying to determine when it'll take off again. I think the daily 21 is pretty strong though. So I would actually prefer Bolt make one visit back down. I would like that personally. Now, if you're new to crypto, you'd be like, how could he prefer that it goes down? I get it, but I just explained it because it's going to help you later, and it'd be another good buy opportunity to get a little more, because then you know, oh, okay, now Bolt's probably ready after all this dang patience, right? But if you look at it on a weekly scale, look, 1 week, 2 weeks, we haven't been 3 weeks to wait for potentially like a 6x after it breaks out here. Will it 6x? I don't know. It might only do 3 or 4, but it's probably going to do over 3. I'll tell you that right now. I think especially if it breaks out once Bitcoin is maybe not breaking all-time highs, but has hit its low point and is confidently going up. If it happens then, it's probably going to 4 or 5x. I would say 3.5 to 4.5x is what, especially if it can hit that line and go up as Bitcoin's going up. So we got to finish up here. Video's getting a little too long. Where am I on the video? I can't look. Okay, anyway. Idea. No, this is gone too, so I promised somebody this looks pretty weak. This looks very weak. However, if you can stake it, you know, it's a new coin, and I think the market cap is low. If this were a staking coin like Idea's graph almost looks identical. I mean, look. Same crap going on, right? Like, honestly, those graphs look on but one weekly, one daily. That's pretty similar. I wouldn't buy either right now. So 𝐿2 has so this is GOM2, M as in Mary. So my kind of base rule to be the house is similar to the video where I did the trampoline and the Mentos, the physics, and talked about hallucinogens and stuff. I think that's the one with the teddy bear thumbnail. You should go watch that. That might be my best video I've ever made. I told you all about my base rule And then we saw it on multiple coins after I said it, because it's just freaking true. Like, the reason I make it rule, because it just is just true. So this is the weekly time frame. It's got to close a couple candles. They don't all have to be green. It's got to close 3 or 4 times before it goes up, folks. And it could be something like this, like a green candle, and then a red candle, then a green candle, you know, stuff like that, then a red. So it doesn't have to keep going up, but it just needs to, what I'm looking for in this is it's closing the candle above, or 3 of 4. So one might close down here, but the other 3 here. That's when you know, okay, sideliners, people sitting out, and sellers. So sellers, these are the sellers, sideliners down here lurking in the darkness. When the 4th close above that line happens, sellers and sideliners become buyers. That's when stuff flies. And if you didn't catch that last video, I'll just real quickly show you. Here I am forgetting to use my watch list again. It was the market bottom of Bitcoin last time. Look. Look. That. So, I mean, but for relatively, I mean, look, Bitcoin took it, like, this was nasty. You should have seen all the, you know, crypto YouTube viewers like myself at the time, all the YouTubers. One of my favorite YouTubers, his name's Omar. He was making videos at, like, during these candles. And he just didn't talk about crypto. He's like, let's just keep our minds off of it and know this is going to be an amazing. But he started doing, like, playing piano and stuff. It was funny. It was a very emotional time, folks. Like, this was emotional. Especially if you didn't take profits. Trying to help you. But anyway, back to the point. So this is like literally the, like, textbook example of perfection. Of sellers here, sideliners lurking in the dark with Tether or whatever. These 2 groups become buyers and it goes up, right? That's, like, literally the most perfect example you could probably ever find in crypto, or for Bitcoin. There might be other coins with better examples. All right, what else we got? We did Silo, VRA, Shaw, ADB. I think we already did ADB. Dang it. I can't remember. Is this the one that I said? Yeah, we've already done this. I drew this out. Okay, good. Bull, we've already done. GOM2, good. Play. Yeah, so, okay. Oh, wait. This might be, like, the second most important thing for new viewers. Like, don't forget what I'm about to say. Okay? Concentrate. This could literally, in one bad move, I'm getting ready to show you. If you make this bad move, this could literally make the difference between you having, let's just pick numbers, between you having, let's say you didn't start off with much money. This one idea can make the difference between you having $1,000 by the end of the bull run or 50,000. Okay? Just one idea. It's possible. Well, am I guarantee you that? No. But it's that big of an idea. Look. Imagine this wick is not here. Okay? It would help if I didn't highlight it red. Okay? So just ignore that wick. This is very good. When you have a green week, a green week, a green week, and each week, like, it doesn't even wick down first. It just starts the week and goes. And then it closes. The next week starts the week and goes. The next week starts the week and goes. Right? Instead of having a wick down, a green wick down, right? And then having a candle body only this big, right? Like, only that big. That's not very bullish. A long wick down and like that, that means it's probably that's like a reversal sign. This is extremely bullish. As opposed to, and I'm on the weekly. This is why I say start on the weekly. I totally need a better camera. Look, daily. Freaking scary. The farther down you go. Scary. Farther down you go. Scary. If you go down to crackhead level, 15 minutes. Scary. When in fact, so that means you're selling your bags and freaking out, right? This is the difference between, what did I say? What numbers did I pick? Like 1,000 and 50,000? Whatever. Look, this is fantastic. This is awesome. That is strong. You can ignore this. This is just a couple people, perhaps. This is small cap. They just hit market buy because they don't know what it means. And they had a couple $1,000 or maybe 10,000. Or maybe it was 10 people doing it with $1,000 or $2 because they don't understand that, wait, maybe I shouldn't be market buying. Maybe I should market buy a little bit and then use the 1 hour 10 because I see Tim's channel, wait till it hits here and then maybe market buy some more instead of just market buying everything at once. Playing the 10 in a rush. If you miss like the first push and you just have to get in, playing the 1 hour 10 or the 2 hour 10, it's a pretty good move. See, it hit both of them. So that's, yeah, this looks very strong. And I think in Discord last night or whenever the hell, I haven't slept very much, so I don't know. In Discord, somebody asked me the question. I answered that. It looks strong on the weekly. Ignore the others. And they said, oh, okay. But I don't know if you were able to appreciate what, the okay that I said, but hopefully you appreciate it now. Because honestly, it's so important. So important. Credits. Started from the breakout. That's only 122% run. I mean, it could or it couldn't. Bitcoin's going down. So, and it looks like it just hit some, it just looked like it hit some key resistance. Even though I didn't draw my resistance correctly, that's resistance here. Candle body's aligning. Candle body's sort of aligning here. This isn't a very big resistance here. So, if I took out of the equation for my house odds or gambling odds, if I took out of the equation Bitcoin likely not being that confident, I would say this maybe hangs out here for a couple days and comes up to this next line. I would say that's by far more probable because this is not strong. This is not strong resistance right here. Actually, strong resistance might be about here. I missed a line, actually. This is pretty damn strong resistance right there. And so, new viewers, what am I doing? On the weekly, go to the week. You can do this for yourself. You can do it. Look. You see how this candle body here. So the wick is this little whisker. So not the whiskers. But even though the whisker does align there, the candle body, they'll align. That's resistance. Okay? It was previously support. Previous support becomes future resistance. All right, I gotta get off the video here. And I think I have, like I said, a hungry wife. Not good. What did I just skip over? Yeah, CV. I think I just went over that. Or was that credits? I don't know. I skipped one. Sorry. ENQ. It could or it couldn't. Ugh. It got, now this is probably gonna, this is a pretty big run. Yeah, no, that got hot. Shoot, did I buy this before that happened? That was an impressive run, and look, it just came up to touch this. So if you held this and you weren't taking profits at that line, right where there's clear resistance on the week, this is what I'm talking about, folks. This is what I think Veracity's doing right now. Look, you freaking take profits for a reason, because this is way more likely. Look, higher highs on price, lower highs on RSI. It's just probable. And that's why you straddle, because you don't know if it'll stop short or go past. So at least you got to sell some of it, and then you can market sell a little bit more if you didn't get everything you wanted to sell. This is probably what's going to happen with Veracity, but for slightly different reasons. Well, no, I guess it is kind of meeting its all-time high. So for the same exact reasons, but just a different form, different shape. That's why you take profits, folks. This is Zell. I mean, that's not a very big run. It probably has more in it. Even with Bitcoin going down, this looks pretty confident. I mean, it's probably going to go straight up to this white line. Unless I miss it. It could stop about there. So what would that be? It could stop at, I think that's 5 zeros. 345. Or it could, what might it do is it goes to 407. It does something like this, where it goes up to that next line and then bases off of here. I think that's a pretty probable play. I mean, if it's super bullish, it could come all the way up here and then play off this. But I think more likely it comes up here and then comes like this. I think it will give another push even with Bitcoin going down. This looks really good, and this is not a very big run. So Zell looks good. Like real good. So I think I got to be done. I got to eat, feed my peoples. You just got Timified, and we'll catch you tomorrow.